Hello, everyone. We are giving the speaker some time to join. He's joining us from China. It's past 11 p.m. So please, let's give a few more minutes for him and for some more participants to join. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for your patience. Please, our speaker is trying to get into the Zoom room. He'll soon be here, so let's give him a few more minutes. Thank you. Hi, Garrett. We can see your hand is raised. Ikenna, can you move our guest in, please? Thank you. Okay. Hi, Gareth. Can we see you now?
Hello, how's everyone doing? Sorry, it was very difficult to get into this event. Sorry. Let me change my
Okay, but
name here. How are we
yeah,
doing?
okay.
Everyone okay? Everything's going
Yes,
well?
everything is going well, but we can't see you yet, so you need to put your video on.
Yeah, forgive me.
So
It's
I,
almost midnight. It's almost midnight here, so if you don't mind, I'm not going to put my video on. Is that
oh, okay.
okay? It's
Okay, yeah,
very,
sure.
very
I
late
understand.
in the evening here.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
So
It
how
is.
how is
It is.
everyone doing? We have lots of people joining us. Like, what's the story? Everyone's okay?
Yes.
Everything's going well?
Everyone's okay waiting for you. So let me introduce you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Wonderful to be here.
Yes, you're welcome. So everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining from, and welcome to the May webinar series of the Center for Translation and Implementation Research, right out of Ivan Research Institute here in Nigeria. And we are about to start this webinar and want to introduce our very special speaker. Is no other than Gareth, and you've heard his voice. So I'll just say a few things about Gareth quickly, and then he'll take over from there. So Gareth is a paleontologist, and he has over 380 peer-reviewed publications on birds and their relationships with dinosaurs. He's also a very, very prolific writer with a lot of experience in the interface between publishing and the academia. He's worked with a lot of publishing firms. He was actually the Research Square content director at a point of time. He's also the co-founder and the chief scientific officer of SciTrain. And SciTrain is an edutech researcher training business. He's also an editorial consultant with the Xizang University Press and China University of Geosciences, where he's currently working as part of the Chinese Ministry of Education funded project called the Deep Time Digital Earth. And everyone, please join me as I welcome Gareth Dyke, and he's joining us right now from China, which is almost at 12 midnight on a
Yeah,
Monday night.
in
So
Beijing. Yes. Thank you so
we
much.
understand that you can't put your camera on, but thank you as you share your slides and your screen and you talk to us. Welcome.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We're going to get into it, and you're going to see my friend Scott. Here he is.
Hello, everyone. At Chitkara University, can you see us? Can you hear us? Ready to
Yes, we can.
start? Welcome, dear colleagues, everyone.
Okay, I'm thinking we don't have audio right now. Garrett, can you hear us? Hi, Gareth. We can't hear the recording. Can you hear me? Gareth, you're muted. We can't hear
I
we can't hear this.
I
Yes.
can hear you. I can hear you. You can't hear it?
Yes, we can.
You can't hear it. Okay. Okay. My God. Okay. Let me Okay, just 1 second. If you could just bear with me for just 1 second. Thank you so much. Hi, hopefully you can hear me now and everything's okay. As I mentioned earlier, it's quite late in the night for me, so obviously I'd hoped to be able to play a recording because it's midnight here. Hopefully you can hear me now. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes,
Fantastic.
we heard what you
Let's
said.
let's talk about effective research writing. Even though it's the middle of the night for me, let's go effective research writing. My name's Gareth Dyke. Fantastic to be here. Wonderful to have this amazing opportunity. We are talking all the time in our SciTrain company about the academic publishing cycle. So dealing with ideas, funding, research, journal selection, paper writing, submission, peer review, and publication, taking people around the publishing cycle. So all of the different aspects of the research publishing cycle. So whichever aspect you're at, we are here to help. And so in this presentation today, we're going to be talking about article writing. Why is it so important that your research stands out? Well, there's 2 million papers published every year, around 30,000 published in just the medical sciences each month. Journal selection is critically important. It's your all-important first step in the research publishing cycle. And picking a great journal is key because you need to make sure that your paper stands out from all of the others. And often we start these workshops, we start these presentations by asking researchers, by asking our research colleagues, why is it so important that you want to get published? Why do you want to get your work published? Well, you might want to get published to get your results out there, to get a higher chance of getting funded, perhaps to get promoted. You may be going for tenure with your next research article. You may be thinking about developing research and development. That may be your reason for getting your next research paper published, or indeed to get a master's or a PhD. And often at different universities around the world, an English SCI paper is a requirement for an academic publication. Don't forget that your motivations for getting your work published are different to those of editors and those of peer reviewers. So let's begin this presentation by thinking about the first step of article submission, which is editorial triage, the criteria that are considered by desk editors at journals. When you submit a paper to an academic journal, an editor's going to be thinking, does this paper fit with the journal scope? Does the article have a clear message? Is it original? Is it important? Is it true? And is it relevant to our readers? You're going to have to sell yourself to get your paper through triage. High impact factor journals really want to maintain high rejection rates. And don't forget that 9 out of 10 papers that get sent to Nature and Science, these big high impact factor journals, they usually get rejected before they get sent out for peer review. So let's begin with our first of 3 topics, things to know before you start to write. Here's my grandmother. Here's a bus driver. you should be thinking when putting an academic paper together for publication. How can you explain the message, the core, the takeaway of that piece of research to somebody who does not have any idea about that particular piece of research, such as your grandmother, such as a bus driver? What's the key, the core, the most important takeaway from the piece of research? And this is critical in English academic writing because, of course, if editors at journals can't work out your single takeaway message from your research paper, they are going to reject your paper outright before publication. So that is really, really important. They're also going to reject your paper if you haven't been able to convince them of your study's importance. Editors think, if I'm interested in a particular study, then my readers are likely to be as well. And this is what's missed by many academic writers. They don't think about the readers. They don't think about editors. They don't think about their papers. They just write them for themselves. So that's really, really important as you begin the process. And we're here, of course, to help you with that, to check the original nature of your results, the story, the takeaway message. Is your work new and interesting? Why? How does your work relate to a currently hot topic? And why? What's new and challenging? And do you provide a solution to a difficult problem? As you put your research paper together, please try to think about the story. Please try to assemble this into 1 or 2 sentences. What's the key, the core message of your research article? And then also think about the target journal. Where are you going to publish? Which research journal are you going to put your paper into? Aim high, choose appropriately, and let's also learn to sell and manage that submission as we put our papers together for international research publication. And also preparing to write means that we do need to think about the structure of our research papers. The title, the abstract, and the keywords are used for abstract, for indexing and searching. They need to be informative, attractive, effective, whereas the rest of the paper, the main text, the IMRAD, performs a different function. The main text has a different function to the rest of the academic article. So do have a think about how you're going to put your paper together for academic publication as well, because structure, the most important element of academic writing, readers need to know throughout a research article where they've come from, where they are now, and where they're going. A plot is needed. Just like writing a novel, a detective story, a research article is a piece of creative writing. So the structure in the article is absolutely key. It's going to tell your readers where they're going to go, where they are now, and where they're going. And that's what we're going to talk about in the remainder of this presentation this evening, as we talk in our second topic about English tips and tricks for academic writing. Tips and tricks for academic writing. Let's get started. We've all received emails like this. Dear sir, dear madam, many thanks for asking whether we would like to publish your paper. It's good and original, but unfortunately, we are simply not willing to publish it. The trouble is that the good bits were not original and the original bits were not good. It's critically important and very common for papers to get rejected because they do not fit with the scope of the journal. Papers outside the journal's scope: plagiarism, incorrect formatting, poor English writing, reviewer responses, and recycled submissions. Why do my papers keep getting rejected? International publishers often reject our fantastic research because of key and common problems with research articles. And of course, there are many problems with English writing. It's critical. It's important. It's absolutely key. It's absolutely fundamental. It's So important that your research message, your message that you're trying to sell to your grandmother, to the bus driver, if you remember my previous slides, that key takeaway message, that key take-home message that you want to get across with your research paper is not buried in language issues. Absolutely critical. English, of course, is the universal language of scientific communication. Academic papers need to be well written, often to a higher standard of English than we do see in other writing. And the writing process can, of course, be beneficial to future scientific work that we do, as well as an intellectual activity in its own right. I would like at this point in our presentation this evening to introduce you to three heroes of mine in terms of English language writing. Good old Winston Churchill mobilized the English language and sent it into battle, as JFK, the US president, was famous for having said. You can also write. The best way to write is exactly the way that you think, as Hadley Freeman, from whom I took lots of writing courses in the past, famously said. And there are many people who do not actually have any ability to write who are fantastic, who are able to help you with writing. Indeed, my friend A.A. Gill, unfortunately not with us anymore, but he was able to write by using just a dictaphone to write down his thoughts. We would then ask you, how do you feel about writing in English? And how do you start the writing process? Do you carefully construct a plan beforehand? Or do you just jump in without a plan? Because what you need to do to be an effective, to be a fantastic, to be an amazing English academic writer is to be like Arnold. In the middle of the slide, one of the most famous, published, by the way, Arnold's published 25 or more research papers in SCI journals. You can check him out on Google Scholar. He's got lots of papers. He is a bricklayer. He's got a plan. He's ready to write his papers with a structure. And we can learn from those who have come before us. How can you write effectively in English, I hear you ask? Well, try to think in English and write as you think. Try to write little and often. Work with papers that you like and respect in your field for style, for shape, for structure and presentation. And if you translate, do use a subject area specialist. There are a number of key features of effective English writing. Short sentences, no unnecessary words, familiar words, active versus passive, use the active voice where possible, a clear style, and good punctuation. Clear features of good, plain English. So, having talked about planning to write and having talked about some aspects of effective English writing in your academic article, let's move on to topic 3 for our presentation this evening and talk a little bit about article structure. You'll remember the IMRAD structure, the general structure. You've got to make sure that your abstract and keywords are easy for indexing and abstracting. They've got to be informative, attractive, and effective, whereas the rest of the paper has a distinct function, the IMRAD academic article structure. The title has to contain the fewest possible words to adequately describe the contents of your paper. Keep the title short. Keep it as short as possible. Identify the main issue of the paper, the subject. Be accurate, unambiguous, specific, and complete. And don't forget to not use infrequently used abbreviations. Above all, you've got to attract readers. You really do have to attract readers if possible. Concise and informative. Get the most important words related to the topic into the title. Entice the readers without giving away the punchline. Not over sensational. And some journals, of course, now insist on including information on study design in the title as well. Absolutely fantastic. Very important as you build your title up. So edit, work on your title. Make sure you have lots of people involved, thinking about what can go where, thinking about what works where, thinking about what the best title would be for your academic paper, because it takes a lot of editing. It takes many people in the team to get the paper ready for eventual publication. You can see what we went from here to what we eventually ended up publishing here, which is a critical difference and very, very important. And you can get an effective title, keeping it short if possible. Titles less than 7 words in length actually do garner more citations. So keep that in mind as well. Your abstract for advertising and marketing must be honest and precise. It's got to stand alone. No technical jargon, short and specific, and citing no references. The quality of your academic abstract, the abstract of your article, 200 or 300 words, will inform your editor's decision. Very, very important to get this right. Of course, many journals now base their decisions on the abstract alone, and sadly, many authors write the abstract in a rush, almost as an afterthought. This must be a concise, standalone piece of writing with a clear message. It's got to accurately reflect the full text of the paper. Why did you do the study? What did you do? What did you find? And what did you conclude? Those 4 questions can form the basis of a fantastic academic article abstract. Why did you do the study? What did you do? What did you find? And what did you conclude? Great questions to ask. Absolutely fantastic. And build a structured abstract. It helps to organize your ideas with a background, methodology, principal findings, and the conclusions and significance. This is the best way for you to put an abstract together. Those 4 questions that I talked about before are critical. Answer those 4 questions in your academic abstract, and you will have the basis of a well-written abstract structure. As you can see here, if you go into a well-written article abstract, you can mark off my 4 questions with a little colored pencil. Why did you do the study? What did you do? My own writing. Can you put thousand
Yes, sorry everyone there. Garrett seems to be having sound and internet issues. Let's give him a little while for him to get back in. Thank you for your patience. And so in the meantime, we have a pool. While we wait for him, we have a first pool that is going to be launched now. So the first pool will launch. Let's answer that while we wait for him to get back in. Thank you. Can we have it launched here now? So kindly answer the poll. So please answer the poll while we wait. If you have any questions so far, you can put them in the Q&A so that when Garrett rejoins us, he'll be answering those questions. Thank you. Please, let's just give him a few more minutes. He's trying to get back in. Thank you. And like I said, please put any questions you have so far for Garrett in the Q&A so that he can answer them as he joins. Thank you. We're not allowing you to ask your questions. Please put them in the Q&A. Thank you. Okay, so he's back and we're getting ready to bring him back as a panelist.
Hi, sorry about that. It's very difficult, to connect to events like this in China. There's a firewall, Zoom is
Yeah.
blocked and blah blah blah. So anyway, yeah, it took me ages to get back in. Like, I had to re-register all that stuff. So, I mean, next time when you run an event like this, you could potentially like send a panelist link to your participants so we can just get back in directly. Anyway, let's finish up, everybody. Let's get going. Yay! More where's my screen gone? Here we go. Yay,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, great. So the introduction, absolutely wonderful, fantastic. You've got to grab the reader, draw them immediately into the crucial issue that your paper addresses. Keep it short. We don't want a literature review. Set the scene and give the state of the art rather than everything that's known on a particular topic at any particular point. Your introduction has to get we're not giving a recording and we're not gonna I'm sorry, no, opening sentence takes you straight to the issue, contains a brief summary of the controversies and the best evidence, keeps within the rules of good writing, and is usually written using active rather than passive voice. Your introduction should contain the most important details of the issue and ends in a crisp and clear research question that helps the reader understand what it is that you set out to address. As you build your introduction with 3 paragraphs, state the question, the state of the art, and end your introduction by giving the reader something along the lines of "this study shows that," as you build out into your methods. And lots of people think that the methods is the boring bit, but this section provides all of the information necessary for another scientist to duplicate your work. It's got to be a narrative of the steps that you took in your experiment, not a list of instructions. It's important to give the readers everything that you did in sequence, because it's extremely common for editors to reject a paper because authors used the wrong method to answer their question. Put your methods together in a timeline sequence. Enough detail so a qualified reader is able to answer the question. What statistics did you use? For example, be structured with your methods. Make a list beforehand. Data collection comes, of course, before data analysis. Be structured, make a list beforehand. Your results presents everything that you created, everything that you collected, all of the results of the study, but does not attempt to interpret their meaning. As with the methods, the trick to writing a great results section is knowing what information to include or exclude. Build your results around figures, the text of the paper. You are going to put the facts and nothing but the facts into the results section, ordered around primary and secondary outcomes in the same order as listed in the methods, stating clearly and simply what you found. Often the results have the same structure as the methods. Finally, then, in the discussion at the end of the paper, you are free to explain what your results mean or why they differ from what other workers have found. Interpret your results in light of other published data. Relate them back to the objectives and limit your conclusions to what your data can actually support. Suggest future directions for research and deviations from what has been published before. Don't write an expansive essay that goes wildly around from what you found. Start the discussion with a single sentence that states your main findings and discuss both your strengths and weaknesses. Relate your study to what's already been found absolutely fantastic. Do make a list beforehand and make sure that you are able to put your results and the structure of your paper into that fantastic IMRAD academic structure. You will get published if you pick an important research question. You will get published if you use the right method to address that question, and you've got to write a short, clear account of your study that follows a tight structure and uses effective writing to convey your message clearly. Don't forget that success consists of going from failure to failure without losing any of your enthusiasm. And thank you. I think at this point there's a few checks here, but thank you so much for listening and have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you, Gareth. Thank you so much for your presentation. We have a couple of questions for you, and I will start by reading them out. So Confidence is saying, thank you so much, Dr. Garrett, for the presentation. She has a few questions for you. Pertaining to your presentation, the statement on your slide, your presentation slide that says, the best way to write is exactly the way you think. So her questions are around that quote you had on your slide. Her first question is, have you encountered situations where writing exactly how you think caused a misunderstanding between reviewers and the or editors and the writer? And how can this be avoided? That's her first question.
Of course.
Then she has a second question, says, in practice, how do you balance the free flow thinking with the structured demands of academic publishing? Especially when you are talking about a specialized field of science, like implementation science. So those are her first two questions.
Wow. Okay. Well, in terms of communication in English, in writing, like the most important thing to keep in mind, everybody, is that most people who read your papers will not be native speakers. Like most people who read academic papers are non-native speakers of English. So keeping your English simple and effective is the best way to communicate, with short sentences, with simple words. How do we deal with situations where there's a piece of confusion between you and a reviewer? Well, that would come down to the editor. And as long as you communicate effectively with the editor about your point of view as opposed to the reviewer's point of view, that should be something that you can easily manage in the peer review process. I think that's a fantastic question, though, and I would be absolutely delighted to talk about it more offline. Drop me an email, get in touch on LinkedIn or over email, and let's talk more. Brilliant question. Thank you so much.
Yeah, okay. So there's another question. Says, you said that the manuscript has to be a piece of creative writing. So how do you balance writing the science and doing the creative piece? How do you strike that balance?
Oh my God. How do I strike the balance between a piece of creative writing and the scientific work? I mean, whoa. That's a question that I'm afraid I have never heard before, and I really can't answer. It depends on your own subject area. It depends on your own writing style. But I mean, the point that we're trying to make is that when you put an academic paper together, it follows a structure, just like writing anything else. And if you follow the structure, if you follow the templates, you will be able to put an effective academic paper together and still be creative in the process, I would say. But again, do get in touch with us. We'd love to talk more. Again, that's a fantastic question. Thank you so much for it. I hope that I somewhat answered it.
Okay, so someone else is saying, thank you for this topic. I'm new in the field of research writing, but I've been trying to get it right. A few weeks ago, I got a rejection email from one of the publishing, one of the journals that I sent my article to without highlighting what my mistake was. I'm really discouraged. So this is a comment from a participant in this webinar today. What would you have to say to that person?
if you've received a rejection and you don't understand why, you need to write to the editor and ask, because the editor's job is to provide feedback on exactly situations like that. If you've been rejected from a journal based on something that you don't understand, write to the editor and ask. And lots of researchers do not realize that they can write to editors and ask. Please do that. Absolutely, you must write to editors and ask for the reason why you've been rejected, please.
Okay, thank you. Another question is, Choma is saying, thank you, Garrett, for your insightful and clear presentation. You mentioned that we should aim high. Do you have any extra tips on how we can get accepted in high impact journals like Nature?
Wow, these are very, very general questions. To get accepted in Nature, you need to show that your research is of broad and applicable interest. So talk about things that are of general interest to lots of different people, I would say. Nature is basically a magazine. So in order to get your work published in there, you need to show that you have something that's of particular applicable interest across a very wide variety of different fields, I would say. But again,
Okay.
like happy to help, like with specific issues. Like do get in touch, like after the event. Be delighted to provide more feedback, like on specific questions for researchers listening to this event today. Let me give you my
Okay.
YouTube. I'm gonna put my YouTube
Yeah, on the
channel.
chat. Yeah,
I'm
on
gonna
the
put my
chat.
Substack. I have lots of content on
Yeah,
Substack.
on your website and your
You
email.
can check. You can check about like what we're doing on LinkedIn. Like we do try to post as often as possible to help researchers.
Okay, so there's still more questions, and I'll read this question out even as Dr. Adeyemo, you can put your question in the Q&A. So Rosemary is saying she's happy she listened to your presentation, but she's saying writing the way she thinks sounds good. How can she support that with literature or information from other studies? Because you mentioned that you say we should write the way we think, that sounds good. So how then do you do that? And then how do you find information that you can use to amplify that way you wrote, which is write the way you think?
Wow. I mean, that comment is just meant to address the fact that many people write academic papers and they write them in a very complicated way, and they think that putting lots of long and complicated words into the academic writing is going to make the academic paper more accessible or more intelligent sounding. Like really, as I mentioned before, like because so many of your readers will not be native speakers, the best way to put your work across, the best way to get your message across is just to write it in a simple, easy to understand way. That's all that's meant with that comment. Can I back that up with literature? Well, I mean, lots of writing courses, lots of information about how to write, like academic writing courses online, for example, are in support of that. I mean, if you look at the instructions for authors for any leading journal, most of them are asking for simple language. Most of them are asking for active voice. So that's how I would back that up with literature, if that helps. And again, like, do get in touch. Be delighted to send more information, recordings of our presentations and other like information online. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, it's almost 1 in the morning here now, so if you don't mind,
Yes,
I'm
so
gonna
we're done. No more questions for you. We just want to thank you so much for your time. We launched while you were away, we launched the
no
first
problem.
pool and
I'm
we're
sorry.
launching,
Sorry.
and we're launching a second one now while you drop off. Thank you so much, Garrett. Thank you. We appreciate you.
Sorry
We're
for
happy
the connection
to
problem.
Yeah, no, it's not your fault. Thank you so much. And thank you for
All right,
sharing the link.
everybody, have a great
Yeah,
evening. Thank you, everybody.
yeah, good night, Garrett. Good night. Thank you. So thank you everyone for attending. Please, there is another poll coming up now. So we are putting it up now. Can you answer these questions for us before you drop off? Thank you. And next month, our webinar is taking a different form. Next month, in the month of June, from the 2nd to the 6th of June, a whole week will be reserved for the 2025 NISA Research Week. NISA is the acronym for Nigeria Implementation Science Alliance. So the Nigeria Implementation Science Alliance has a full week of webinars, very informative, very instructive. We'll send the flyers out with the links very soon. And please ensure that you make sure to register and spread the word and be part of that event in June. So go ahead and do the poll for us. Thank you.
I think I wanted you to expand more on that June. So in June,
Okay, go
we
ahead,
are
sir.
bringing in experts, most of them from the National Institute of Health. So you are going to hear back. So I think it's a very important week that we usually reserve. Last time we did it on people who developed the frameworks that we use for research, and then be able to develop the people who had used those frameworks in Nigeria or in other parts of Africa. In this particular time, we are going to bring in experts that happen to work in NIH, but also we are going to pair them with people who are working or had worked or have been received funding from the National Institute of Health for their work in Nigeria, so that you can actually, so something like we bring in the National Cancer Institute, a speaker from there. They are not speaking for the institute, they're speaking as experts on their own. So they will talk about it, but then they will highlight one of the guarantee that they have funded in Nigeria or in other parts of Africa, and that person will also have a time to present their work, and then you have time for questions. It's usually 2 hours every day, Monday to Friday. When you get it, look at it and mark your calendar. It is one of the best program that we have in terms of how consolidated it is in that 1 week. That you're actually able to get more than you get from a whole period of workshop. So when you look at it and spread it as wide as you can, so that people who may want to hear from them, especially at this particular time, to see what implementation science in different areas, in cardiovascular disease, in cancer control, in maternal and child health, in mental health, and in general about implementation science. So it's a very beautiful thing for you to plan to do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. So please go ahead and complete the poll right now. It's showing on your screen. Just go ahead. We want to hear from you what you think about this webinar. And we also want to hear from you future topics you'd like to see us share with you in our webinar series. I'll also be sharing. Yes, go ahead, Prof. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask if you're going to share the results with us live. I want to see, because that's something that we haven't done before. We want to be able to do. We want to start to evaluate the speakers that we bring, so we can hear back from you about what you think, what they have presented. Yeah, that will help us in selecting speakers for next year in 2026. But also, if you want to hear from you topics that you want, also that these things take time for us to plan them and invite these people to block their time. It almost takes us a year to do that. So we are beginning to put together for 2026. So the more you can tell us now, the better. These things, we plan them long in advance to be able to bring in the people we bring. We really have those schedules done 6 months to 1 year in advance. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. So I'm sharing a few links that have been shared previously. Some people want the recordings. We have a YouTube channel. You can go there and watch this webinar and previous webinars from this year and previous years. We have back to 3 years, so you can watch all of that. Then also you can go on our website. I've shared the link to our website and look around there. You can also, Garrett was gracious enough to share his YouTube channel. We can go watch a couple of videos there. And of course, you can reach out to him on LinkedIn too. He says on LinkedIn or also on substack.com. So I'm sharing all those links as you complete the polls. Please complete the polls before you drop off. Complete the polls before you drop off. They're on your screen.
Thank you, Professor Nyaka, for all you do, bringing all of these people to us and bringing these webinars. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof, for appreciating me. Thank you.
So I was able to get the result from the back.
Okay, Prof. Putting my
Yeah,
camera on.
so I was able to get, I was able to
Okay.
see it.
Ikena, stop. Can you stop live streaming, please? Thank you. Ikena. We're streaming live on YouTube, so I want
Yes.
Ikena to stop. Can you stop that? I don't know if you can hear me. Ikena, can you hear me? Hello? Oh, I don't think he can hear me.